Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. My name is Kimberly Winborne, and I am your host for the evening, the host of the Collaboration Culture podcast. To my right, maybe your left, I am joined by Mr. Makesi Anyika, who is from Trinidad, who is a leader, who is in the network marketing space, who is making money left and right, who is who has a global vision, and so excited to have him today in order to be able to share that. And so I am going to give him an opportunity to share a little bit about himself in just a moment. But I want to add that I have just recently met him through a partnership, and I added to my business, and I am so elated to have been able to add someone who walks in this level of leadership and personal development. So you ever seen there's this little meme that's around that talks about the 5 people that you associate with, that's who you're going to become. And so if you've been following me as a financial advisor, for those of you who don't know that that's the field that I'm in, it's this one about being broke. And there's these 5 people, and everybody's running from the broke one, right? I wish I had the picture to show you. And so association is so important. And so I'm so proud to be associated with someone like Mr. Makesi. And so I hope that you have pen, paper, listening ears in order to tune in to an amazing conversation that I expect for this evening. So tell us a little bit more about yourself, and welcome to the Collaboration Culture podcast.
Hey, well, Kim, I'm honored and happy to be here with you, and I want to thank you for allowing me to share this platform with you. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So I mean, my background is I grew up in Trinidad and Tobago until I was about the age of 17. It was me and my sister. My dad migrated to the United States. I followed suit. At 17, I went to high school, Penwood High in Pennsylvania in Yeadon, Lansdowne. And then went to college, went to community college. Wasn't sure that I always knew I didn't want to pay student loans. I don't know. Something about money and student loans, and it just didn't add up to me. So
I think all of us felt that way, and many people don't. I talk to them all the time.
so I went to school, Delaware County Community College
Yeah.
in Pennsylvania, and you
Okay.
know, and it was an ultimatum. My dad was like, "Listen, you got to school work or you got to leave." So I went to school, and then I got a partial scholarship to a small college called Cabrini because I started playing basketball and I was pretty good at it. And the long and short of it is, once I got started there, the basketball program shut down. So I had to really just focus in on school. And I did. I locked in. I graduated with computer science. I changed my major. I went from business administration to computer science, which was like a major jump because it was all math. It was Calc 1, 2, 3. It was all this mathematics. And I started, getting better with numbers. I didn't realize I like math. Long story short, I got out of college, worked for Citibank as a software engineer. And while I was working for Citibank, my dad and his friend Alton Paris, they would all, and another guy named Vincent Hyatt, they would always tell me about all these different ventures that they were doing, and they brought this juice to me one day, and they shared it with me, and they said we're gonna make $1 million with this, and I'm like, you're right, you're not gonna make anything. Right? So I said no for months, and over time I started seeing people who became successful at that same home-based business. And I remember ordering the product. I went to some of my engineering friends at the job, and they said, "Man, people don't make money selling jungle juice." And that hurt me so bad that I didn't do anything for about a year. And then I heard this sermon with Les Brown, and I remember it to this day. He said, if you want something bad enough, you got to fight for it. You got to work day and night for it. You got to give up your time, your peace, your sleep for it. He said, if all your dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, and stern pertinacity. If neither, see, I can't remember the rest, but long story short, that stuck with me. And that just lit me up to the point where I always started reciting it. And anytime I became afraid of trying something new, I would just say that over and over and over. And before I knew it, I got started with that venture. Wasn't very successful, but I did a lot of reading and I started getting immersed into self-development. And that lasted for about maybe a year and a half. I did that. And then I started another venture and it just took off. The self-development caught up with my skill set. And
Mm-hmm.
then it just, boom, it just took off. And that
Took
was it
off.
for me, man. Yeah.
I love it. So, okay, that Les Brown
That's
uh
Brown.
quote that you shared, I remember seeing him live and
Right.
him just breaking out with that. And he is one of those people, and this is the power of passion. He is one of those people that always has a song, a poem, an
A poem.
inspirational word that sticks with you, like that stuck with you. And it's so much value. I remember the first time, and this is what I really want to heavy focus on today with you, personal development. As we talk about, your success track, I'm so glad you mentioned Les Brown. And there's so many other leaders that I know that you follow because you're always referring people to a book, a video, audio, so much inspiration. And so I remember the first time ever hearing those words, personal development, and what all of that encapsulated. One of the first people I heard about was like Zig Ziglar,
Zig
and then
Ziglar.
like Jim Rohn,
Jim
and then
Rohn.
of course everybody heard of Bob Proctor because of The Secret,
Right.
and so there, and then Les Brown was like the first black man that I had ever heard of in this space outside of a pastor, right? Like
Right.
outside of a pastor, it was like, okay, so
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
right.
I mean,
Uh-huh.
to be honest, he was the first person, and then I started seeing and hearing others. And so, the power of personal development to success is really what I want to focus on. And so, for those of you who are joining us, welcome. Be sure to share, tag someone, invite someone. I know a lot of people come back and catch the replay because this is happy hour kind of time. 5 o'clock, people are getting off work. Some people jump on, some people catch the replay. I'm after the show, I'm always getting like comments as people are watching. But if you're here, go ahead and share with another entrepreneur, someone who is trying to kill it before the end of this year in order to propel into 2023. Like, yes, I'm here and I'm ready. Then invite them to our time together with Mr. Makesi. So, back to personal development. When did you actually realize that that was a tool that was helping you to be able to achieve different versions of success through your success journey?
For me, when I was younger, I think I
Hmm.
was probably about, I'd say maybe like when I was like 8 years old.
Hmm.
I used to do karate. I was actually a world champion in karate when I was in Trinidad. I used to come,
Really?
yeah, yeah. I used to travel to all the different countries, Venezuela, so
Hmm.
South America, all the Caribbean islands, and we used to go to LA every 2 years. We had tournaments in Los Angeles. That's where I
Hmm.
met Billy Blanks, and I was
Okay.
actually supposed to be in the movie Blade. Was it
That was
Blade?
my movie.
Yeah, I know that was my movie. Yeah, and yeah, and long story short, I from doing karate, my sensei used to have us do affirmations. So we each the katas where you do imaginary fighting, you would have to recite a affirmation. And the first one was, "Today I begin a new life. I am unstoppable." And we would say, and then the second one is, "I greet this day with truth in my heart, which is my greatest weapon, and nothing can defend against it." And then I would start reciting all of these affirmations, and I realized that that helped me, where I saw people would break down
Mhm.
in different, like, competition, or I was able to summon something in me. Like, I don't know what it is, but I just know that I had that inner drive that gave me an edge, and I
Yeah.
would always, be able to talk to myself positively
Yeah.
and step into that next level.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think I was younger, and then as I got into the network marketing space
Mhm.
and in the home-based business space, I realized that it was an extension of that. So I kind of used the two,
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
to keep it going. So I don't
That's
know if
good.
that answers the question. I don't know if
It
that answers
does.
the question, but
Yeah, it does because like I said, I hadn't heard of those words until, I was an adult. I was well into my late 20s, early 30s when I heard the term personal development and realized there was a whole like community
genre,
that was,
yeah,
yeah, it was like a whole genre, a whole culture. And I didn't realize just how much negative, and see, this is the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize when it comes to association and when it comes to even self association. What are we declaring over ourselves and what are we believing about ourselves? And so, how much negative is coming into our ear gates and our eye gates that is actually holding us back from achieving certain goals that we wish to achieve. And as an entrepreneur of over 20 years, I think that people look at entrepreneurship as some sort of mystery, right? As some sort of mystery, but really it is just a choice to do the hard work, but just not clock in for someone else. You're just clocking in for yourself. And then what that takes. So the same sort of, you got to get up and you got to go to work, or whoever is your employer is going to fire you, right? That's
right.
the same thing that I think about when it comes to entrepreneurship. If I don't get up and I don't go to work, I'm going to get fired
You're gonna
because
fire yourself.
I'm gonna fire myself because, yeah, because my bills are gonna be
That's
starting to tell me a story, right? And
real.
so personal development, though, back to that personal development, I realized how much from TV I was getting negative energy from certain people, even through Facebook. You get on there and you're just, looking to support friends, hang out, and all that at first. The next thing you know, you're plagued by other people's stories, and I would realize that my day was getting affected. And so that's why I wanted to speak with you about that, because you've seen success in different spaces over and over again, and you consistently track that to personal development. Now, what else do you attribute to your success over this past however many years you've been at this thing called network marketing as well as entrepreneurship? What else would you attribute to your success?
Um, I think it's a combination of mentors. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's something that a lot of us overlook, the power of a mentor that you respect. Somebody
Mm-hmm.
who you respect can pull things out of you that you won't be able to pull out of yourself.
Yeah.
Because they see in you what sometimes you can't see in yourself because you're standing in the picture, right? So,
Yep.
um, so yeah, I think mentorship is big, and being smart enough or having enough common sense to know that you need somebody who knows a little bit more than you to guide you.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we can get in our own way with that, where we want to do it the way we want to, or we want
Mm-hmm.
to be taught the way we want to be taught. But
Yeah.
there is a way, and
Mm-hmm.
just the concept also of like doing something. I remember in karate, again, I think my roots for me is karate. I think it helped me a lot because we would do the same basic move. I think of Karate Kid, wax on, wax off. And we would always say,
Yes.
yeah, it's not about doing something to the best of your ability. It's doing
Mm-hmm.
something the best it can be done.
Yeah.
When you get that, you're like, ooh, because we say real education is caught, not taught. So if you
Mm-hmm.
catch that, you realize, oh, so there is a way, and then then there's, you can do it at a high level, but then there's a way that can that where you're striving for this perfection. There's the best way it could be done,
Mm-hmm.
and that way you could do the same basic move over and over and over for your whole lifetime and never master it. So but we'll get to a
That's
very high level.
good.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, so for me personally, I attribute a lot of it to mentors,
Mm-hmm.
and just doing, not just doing something to the best of my ability, but doing it the best it can be done. I think
Yeah.
that mindset changes how you go after doing something. You don't just regularly casually do it. You do it with an intention and with a pride and with a passion and with
Mm-hmm.
a purpose that takes it to another level. And then you see the best in you. You start
Yeah.
seeing things in you that you didn't know was there.
Yep. And I love that you said my favorite one of my favorite words, intention. So many of us walk through life with no intention. And so once you gain intention, it gives you a purpose, a path, and all of that. And so, you're not originally from the States and you came over. And so a lot of times people here in the States too say that people that are foreigners have more of a hustle or hustle or
So,
whatever,
yeah.
right, than the Americans because we're lazy and all that, enable and entitled. So what was the drive to come here to America? And then do you, in your experience with Americans, with people from Trinidad and the world, get let's dispel the myth or add value, or is the myth true? What's up with the Americans? But no, really, what was it that gave you that drive to come over and see a dream and live a
So
dream?
yeah, so I mean, for me personally, I mean, I kind of, in Trinidad, I think one thing I will say is that we are very well informed. Um, in terms of, like, we watch a lot of global news,
Hmm.
so we don't just watch like CNN or Fox News. We watch like BBC News, and we
Yeah.
see like what's going on in the world, which countries got it going on. The United
Hmm.
States got it going on in terms of opportunity.
Yeah.
This is a place where you can really, if you have your goals and your dreams, you can
Hmm.
come here and you can go after it, right?
Hmm.
And then, so that was a real big point. And then my dad, he was a big influential. He was very influential in my in my formative years, in terms of like his vision of coming to the United States. He said he was going to come up here and he was going to make a better life and all of this stuff, and he did.
Yeah. Hmm.
He did. So that kind of just passed on to me, and I was like, okay, well, hey, I'm going to fall in line and do that. If this is the
Hmm.
best place for us, family is where your people is where the people who love you are,
Hmm.
not a place. So I
Yeah.
kind of understood that, and I never, so even though I have a lot of pride that I'm from Trinidad,
Yeah.
my family's up here, so and my mom is
Yeah.
still in Trinidad, so
Uh-huh.
still a love all over. But yeah, there's the myth is like, I don't believe in the myth of Americans are lazy and all that stuff. I don't believe in
Hmm.
that. Some Americans are lazy, just like some Trinidadians are lazy, right? There's segments of people who
Yeah.
just don't get it done, and some who do. So
Yeah.
our job as people, and I teach it all the time. Les Brown again,
Hmm.
OQ, only quality people, OQP,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
the whole objective is you find quality people, no matter what their background, no matter what their where they're coming from, because everybody has a story, and that's what make living so, and connecting with people so special, is that
Yeah.
you get to relate and connect with people who come from different walks of life. They can stretch your perspective,
Hmm.
because I used to hear that, oh, the foreigners got the hustle muscle, I would hear all of this stuff. And there's some truth to that, but I know a lot of people who came up here and they just settled, they didn't
Right.
do
Right.
anything.
Yeah.
So it goes both ways, and
Hmm.
in all over the world, I see the same. There's the same genres of people, and it's not
Yeah.
just. And I'm gonna go a step further. I don't even just think it's black people. I think it's all people.
All people.
you
Yeah.
know, I think it's all people. Some people get it done. It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter you're tall, you're short. It's all about progressive people. Do you want to be around people who are
Yeah.
progressive too? And they're gonna come from all genres, all walks of life, because we all have a story. And the winners, or the Eagles, as I call them, they have something that they've overcame, which is what makes them who they are. So Yeah,
Mhm.
I like hanging out with people who like yourself. You know, I like hanging out with people who are progressive and making it happen, and you know, that progressive reality of your worthwhile goals or dreams. I like hanging out with
Yeah.
people who have that vision, that insight, that passion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and to that, okay, so progressive people do tend to have productive lives which fill a calendar. I'm gonna say it that way instead of busy, right? So progressive people tend to have productive lives that fill a calendar. So
right.
as a husband, as a father, how are you able to continue to strive for your goals, achieve that for your family, legacy, and all of those things, and still be dad, still be husband, and be successful at that?
I think the first thing that I always knew is that whoever my wife was going to be had to
Mhm.
understand how serious my going after my pursuit was. And
Okay.
I think the first thing that I did good was I married the right person. I think that's my secret.
Bottom line.
My wife is my secret weapon. So I
Mhm,
think that was it. You know, I tell her all the time. I said I could not do all of what you do. I can't, you know, like she holds it down, man. So
mhm,
I'm really thankful that, you know, today we just went out, we did our little lunch date today, and we were just talking about it. You know, I told her, I said, man, you know, I couldn't raise the kids and all this by myself. I don't know how single mothers do it. I'm like, man, this will be
mhm.
hard, man. So, you
Yeah.
know, so I have a lot of respect for women when when I see them raising their kids and all this stuff on their own,
Mhm.
because you know that's real work, man. That's the
Yeah.
toughest job in the world. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
is trying to. And I don't. I used to think I had this even up to about 2 years ago. I used to think life is about balance. Life is about
Mhm.
balance.
Mhm.
Now I'm learning it's about counterbalance.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
and I feel like, you know, you have to your growth spurts are on the edges of you know, being out of off balance.
Mhm.
Robert Kiyosaki in his book Rich Dad Poor Dad, he talks about it. He said you only progress forward when you walk, when you get off balance. Like you
Mhm.
lean forward and then you put one foot in front of the other. And he said it's the same thing for your goals and your dreams. You got to kind of go out of balance on
Mhm.
the edges of it and then counterbalance by coming back, and so you might have your family, you might have your, you know, your career, you might have your the different your spiritual faith, you know, your
Mhm.
different aspects of your life, but you got to focus on for you to progress on in any one of those genres. You kind of got to immerse yourself in it and get off balance by
Mhm.
putting more hours, more time into that one thing.
Yeah.
And then as you grow there, then you counterbalance and you go back now to your career, then you go back to being a dad, then you go back to, so it's kind of
Mhm.
like a counterbalancing rather than trying to just make it look like it's just all balanced, because it's not.
Alabama. Yeah.
Yeah, you need a support system, and my wife is my biggest support system, and I am
Yeah.
her. I'm that for her as well. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
the key. Yeah.
Now, for those who are watching, do you believe, because this saying all the time, work life balance is
Right.
real? Do you believe that's real? Because we're talking about balance. And one of the epiphanies that I had to your counterbalance view of looking at this, one of the epiphanies that I had is when you think about the scales of life, or when you think about even getting on a scale, like physically getting on a scale, each one of us can get on a scale and it's going to be a different weight. We can be doing
Correct.
the exact same things in our lives potentially, and
Right.
each of us will get on a scale and we will have totally different weights, right?
Different
And
results. Yeah.
so balance then is different for everyone. Like whatever, when people talk about work life balance or whatever, it has to be different for everyone. So that's why we have to have grace. That's why we have to just do what we need to do, like you just said, when it comes to our best selves. Our best is going to help these other people to achieve their best, whatever
Right.
that is. And that has to be our focus. And so that's why I love Les Brown. When I first heard him talk about, you got to be hungry,
Hungry.
right?
Yeah.
Right. Because that hunger helps you to continue to strive when you do trip. Because when sometimes as we're walking and we got our balance, we trip.
Right.
And that hunger helps us to be like, know what? I tripped. I tripped pretty hard, but and if you got a team, like you were talking about association, then you got somebody who will lift you up, or who, you can lean on to get up. And so that's my epiphany
Right.
around
Around that.
balance. And my balance might get on your nerves. I don't know, but it's my
Hey,
balance. Leave me alone.
I say like I'm reading this book right now, and I know I told you and some of the people on our team the one thing, and he
Mhm.
talks about you got to treat your life the way a ballerina does. He said a
Mhm.
ballerina is not balanced. He said
Yeah.
the ballerina is counterbalancing.
Mhm.
They're all these little small tweaks that they're doing, but they look still like they have their leg up and
Mhm.
but their toes are planted in the ground, and there's all these little small counterbalancing that they're doing, but they just look
Absolutely.
like still, so
Yeah.
it's like he said that's how you got to treat your life in terms of the different genres, the different aspects of your life, and
Yeah.
making sure that you counterbalance through each one of them. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that's actually a really, to me, because I always used to say, well, success is about balance. I used to always say that, but now I'm like, I don't know.
You
The
got
longer you
tweaked.
live, they say that the it's not the things we think we know, it's the things we think we know that just ain't so. So
Right.
you always
Yeah.
gonna be open to a new way of looking at things. And I feel like,
Yeah.
that's an aha for me in 2022. It's like
Yeah, growth
that's
mindset.
growth
Like I
mindset.
can't even be around people that are just like, "Oh, I'm good. I'm not hurting nobody. I'm good. I'm happy." But you fixed in your mindset. Like nobody can tell you anything because you're just fixed. I thrive to be around people
People
that can help me to grow and learn. I don't know. I just have a hunger for that. So let me see. We elongate, stretch
yeah,
while being grounded. Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. And the best stretch in the world. I love, thank you for, I don't know who that is because you got to give StreamYard permission. But the best stretching in the world is when you have somebody else to help you to stretch,
yeah,
especially somebody who knows what they're doing. Like, I love it when my personal trainer and I stretch, right? And so we elongate, stretch while being grounded, but it also, stretching helps us to loosen up. It helps us
right.
to, build up our strength. So stretching even helps my core
Your
back to
core. Yep.
being grounded,
Yep.
right? And so speaking of teams, because you mentioned teams a moment ago, and before we close out, I want to speak with you about finance. I want to talk about money because that's my hat, and I want to talk with you about how you train or teach, or even in your life, have a system when it comes to finances, and so how you're able to build and grow. But we're gonna put that to the side for just a second so we could talk about teams. And you mentioned me being on your team and you having a team, and then also with network marketing building teams. Can you share with us how what are the principles or foundations that you are putting out there or instilling in others in order to, and those that you have learned for yourself, in order to be able to successfully build a team?
Yeah. So with teams, I look at core values, right?
Mhm.
So I say the 4 E's, right? Empathy, right? Because you're with teams, it starts with people and relationships, and
Mhm.
trust is really the currency,
Yeah.
right? If I trust you and you trust me, we'll fight harder for each other than if
Mhm.
there's no trust
Mhm.
established. So
Mhm.
empathy is the first E. Second one is excellence, right?
Mhm.
It's not doing it to the best of your ability, it's doing it the best it can be done. If we're striving for doing it the best it can be done, that's a different minds. That's a different level of excellence that we're
Mhm.
gonna put forth to make it happen, right? And then the third E is execution, right? A
Mhm.
lot of people talk. Some people talk. They talk right, but they walk left. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
but so it's hard to find people who can execute, like who can
Mhm.
they say they're gonna do something and then they do it. I love, like, if I'm working with a mentor and I tell them, hey, I'm about to do this. And
Mhm.
then I just did it this past month. I told them I was gonna hit this rank, and they said, all right, well, we'll see. And just like how you drank that cup right there, he was like, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Like,
And then
I'm
I knocked
watching.
it out. You're right. And then I knocked it out. And then they're like, wow, you really walking your talk.
Yeah.
Execution. So I really respect people when I see they can execute. They can lay
Yeah.
out a plan and then go after the plan and just, make it happen. That's my wife's favorite slogan. Make it happen, right? And then the
Make it
fourth,
happen.
make it happen. Yep. And then the last one is energy. Bringing good
Mhm.
energy, good vibration, good a good feeling to people. Even though you might have to sometimes stand up for yourself, or not be a pushover, or you might have to, as a mentor, you might have to tell somebody when they're not doing something to the best of their ability, but
Yeah.
do it in a way that is productive and not with a negative spirit, with a good intent,
Mhm.
and those E's, empathy, excellence, execution, and energy. Those are four principles that I use when I'm team building. I want that culture to develop in the people that I'm with, I'm running
That's
with, I'm
good.
working with, and that creates a great culture and strong
Mhm.
systems. And you
Yeah.
already know the system: save yourself time, energy, money, the acronym for it, and
Yeah.
that allows everything to flow. And that's what I strive for: flow. I always think of Bruce Lee. He said, "You
Mhm.
must flow like water, my friend."
Yes.
Water can he said water could crash, or water could, I forgot how he said it. There's this clip on YouTube. I love how he says, "You must
Uh-huh.
flow like water, my friend."
Don't make me go searching.
I thought, yeah, no, it's good. It's a whole
Yeah.
long clip. He's talking about systems and stuff, and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, this is great.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so I love, so
Yeah.
that's really the core principles with team building for me. That's what I look for.
Yeah. Yeah. And so how do you instill that in others? Like how you talk about core values, and you can have a team and you can have the nicest people, right? But they don't have the same core values. How do you inspire and instill that in others who are totally walking in a different sort of energy?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's where culture comes in.
Mhm.
Those four E's combined, it starts with just one person.
Yeah.
One person giving an example, then that transmutes to other people, and then
Yeah.
it creates a culture of excellence where when people walk into that particular circle, they recognize that, hey, I'm in a place where winners could win, so if I don't want to be a winner, I need to leave. Like,
Yeah.
so it kind of, the culture is what defines uh the transformation.
Mhm.
It's not people. You might have a product or a service, or people think it's all these things. No, what it is the culture that is created that really amplifies and ramps up the development of people, because
Yeah.
people become inspired. They become inspired either through one of those four E's. Maybe
Mhm.
maybe they come into contact with somebody on your team
Mhm.
who has a level of empathy that they've never experienced before, where they could understand them,
Yeah.
because a lot of people are coming from broken homes or
Mhm.
broken relationships. And if they can come into an environment where they recognize, wow, this person really care about me as a person first,
Mhm.
because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right?
Right.
So if you care for the people first, all of a sudden you can get the best out of them a little bit more, right?
Mhm.
And they want the best out of themselves because they feel like they feel respected, they feel
Mhm.
like heard. A lot of people
Yeah.
go through that. And then same thing with all these E's. As you go through the E's, we all have our strengths in each one. We all have
Mhm.
all of them, but we all have our strengths where we have a domineering one for each of us. Like some of
Yeah.
us is just raw energy, and people
Yeah.
buy more for that, and right, and that raises the culture of what's being built. Some of us are like we are really good at executing, like
Mhm.
how to put that plan, that system in place, and we're not budging one bit. We're gonna make this happen right here. Some of us are
Yeah.
good at that, and some people see that and they see themselves in you, with
Mhm.
or whoever that person is that is doing whatever they're doing. And then excellence is the same thing. When you do it the best it can be done,
Mhm.
you're doing something with a level of pride and a level of passion that is just a cut above everything else. So again, when people come into that changes the whole nature of their vibe.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
become better. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I heard this quote. I was a part of a personal development and financial development company for years. And I remember being at a seminar and heard this quote: the leader creates the culture.
Correct.
And so that is why it's so important for the leader to be getting poured into, to
Correct.
separate himself or herself sometimes from the pack in order to gain more, in
Yeah.
order to reset
To
and
reset.
be filled back up, because the leader creates the culture. So if a person is walking into that room that you mentioned and the leader's energy is off, then that is going to trickle down into the culture, which would be, is going to be like that parasite that begins to take over, and now it's, it's killing the system, the core value, the structure. And so, to that, what you just said, to that example about energy, it's
And
so significant for the leader of that culture to have such great energy, because people will come in with a whole bunch of energies, right? Like, you can't help that. You
good
can't
and
help
bad,
that.
right?
Good and
Yeah.
bad. People are gonna come in with their
Right.
energy,
Right.
right? And you
Right.
can't help. So, but if you're the leader, you can't be swayed. You can't be swayed left and right. You are the person who creates the culture. And I think when I first heard that, I was just like, ooh, ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
It's just, I started seeing all these different spaces and cultures where the leader, that's why leadership became so
So
significant
important.
to what I shared with people, because you see broken leadership, so therefore you see broken culture. And then
Correct.
you apply that to entrepreneurship. You guys, for those of you who are entrepreneurs, you're leaders every day.
Right.
And if you're not getting poured into, you're not resetting, refilling, getting personal development, whatever, spiritual development as well,
Correct.
then you're depleted. And now this is affecting your
Your
culture, your
organization.
business, your
Yeah.
organization. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. You want to add anything to that?
Yeah, the speed of the pack is the speed of the team is the speed of the pack is based on the speed of the lead wolf, right? So
Yeah. Hmm.
so it's all about leadership, and yeah, if you show me any business that's running or any team that's winning, just
Hmm.
look at the leader. That's
Yeah.
all you have to do. If you look at the leadership, you can see why that organization is having a success or failure.
Yeah.
Which is why when I pick any company, I don't really too much. I look at the product or the service as secondary to the leadership,
Yeah.
because you might have a great product, but if it's mismanaged through the corporate side, you could just mess up everything. So
Yeah.
the leadership is the first thing I look at with most.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah.
And so that leads us to, as we talk about systems, let's talk about the money, y'all. Let's talk about the money. All right. So we are all doing, oh, we got some purple hearts. Oh, okay.
Nice.
Thank you. We don't know who you are, but we love you,
We
right?
appreciate it. Yep.
Appreciate the purple hearts. But if you guys, when you put your comments, if you want to put your name beside them, that would be cool, so we can say your name at least. Because you, if you didn't give StreamYard permission, we can't see you. Oh. So, Monies, let's give some success tips that you have learned as a successful entrepreneur, successful in this industry of network marketing and any other spaces in your life. How have you created a system in your home as well as your business that you can thrive and continue to achieve goals?
Yeah, I mean, I think simplicity is key. A lot of
Hmm.
times, when I first started making a six-figure income, the thing that I used to be worried about is taxes. Like, I
Hmm.
used to be paranoid, right? But the
Right,
key thing,
rightfully so.
right, yeah, so then I started, listening to like simple systems.
Yeah.
You save a third, and I started doing everything in thirds.
Hmm.
So I would save a
Hmm.
third, I would invest a third, and then I would use a third, for whatever I need to do it for, to reinvest into my business or whatever.
Right.
So just keeping it simple is what I
Hmm.
tell people, because there's lots of different. It goes back to the scale that you talked about,
Hmm.
um, where we might be doing the same thing but getting different results, because
Yep.
everybody's financial thermostat is different,
Hmm.
in terms of how they make money and all this stuff. So for me personally, I just keep it simple. I just make sure that I'm always on a swivel to have my money work.
Hmm.
Right? I want my money working all the time, whether it's through insurance policies, whether it's through. And I know you're familiar with that, because you've been in
Yep.
that space, right?
Hmm.
But for the most part, that's really my always my goal is to make
Mm-hmm.
sure my money is working harder than me. That I just keep it as simple a philosophy as that. If I find different avenues as a serial entrepreneur where my money is constantly working more than I'm working, I feel good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel very good,
Yep.
And I look at like some of my mentors when I see that they have all these streams of income, but most of it is through investments, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's through different means where their money is working versus they trading their time for money. And that's something where network
Mm-hmm.
marketing kind of transitioned me as I started, getting to a place of, making a certain amount of income. I realized like, hey, I have all this extra money. What do I do with it? And then that's when I
Mm-hmm.
started realizing, oh, you have to start putting your money to work for you versus you working for that money. And that was a big
Absolutely.
epiphany for me for the past 10 years or so. I think that's, yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. And yeah, that is the space I'm in. And I love educating people on finance. And I continue to try to grow in that space
Yeah.
because I don't know it all. And that's why collaboration is so big for me. But because I can't and don't know it all, I can collaborate with others who have information that I don't have, and they and bring them to my network to be able to educate. And so back to what you were talking about with your simple formula, how you started, this is actually when I first started my business. This is the simple formula that I use. I was like, okay, I'm brand spanking new. So I'm not used to the money yet anyway, coming in and
Right.
how it's going to come in. So what I'm going to do, this simple formula is save a third, use a third for life. So bills, all that stuff like that,
Right.
and invest the rest. And
Mhm.
that's what I did starting off with my first two businesses. And so when the market crashed back in 08, 09, my investments were good. I had a savings set up. My
Right.
businesses didn't fail and plummet. And I remembered a lot of people in my neighborhood were losing their houses. I was like, oh my God, my value is about to drop because
Right.
like foreclosures left and right. But because I had this formula, I was able to continue to thrive in my business as well as my life. And
Right.
so thank you for sharing that because it sort of reminded me that this is the formula that I used in my business and continue to, I think in thirds too. I
Right.
continue to use this business in order to adjust too, because sometimes you do have to reallocate and adjust and go back to the basics.
To the
And
basics.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. And people, I was thinking about this today. People have such a hard time going back to the basics. They actually undervalue the basics, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I was thinking about this from a financial perspective. When I sit down and I talk with people about budgeting and saving, it's sort of like, oh yeah, I know, right? Like it's something that we should know, but
Right.
do we always apply the things that we know?
Right. The execution is not there.
Back
That's
to your
real.
E. Back to your E. Right. And but the attitude around it though. Like you ever met people like, I
Yes.
mean, that's it's like you're
And
like,
the ones that need it is the ones who need it are the ones that usually have the most attitude about it. Like, oh,
right,
I already know
right.
that. Okay, but
They
if you
looking
know
at
it,
you like,
yeah,
like, I know.
yeah,
And I'm
I
like,
mean,
but okay, so getting back to the basics is powerful because I was starting to be like, man, maybe what I'm doing ain't really, like, but I know when you sit with people, this is a success tip, y'all. Budget and save. Like it's so cliche or whatever. People say all types of words around it.
yeah,
But whenever the market is changing, you can have a foundation that is solid if you set yourself up well. And so when I think about activity, back to money and your success, when I think about activity, how are you tracking your success from the measurement of activity when you're talking about, okay, when you have this challenge with the person that was like, yeah, right, you're gonna do it to achieve a goal? How are you tracking that activity so that it is something that is a financial, you can put it on paper? I don't know if you're using a spreadsheet or like what sort of tools are you using to track your money as well to achieve goals?
yeah, spreadsheets. Yeah, and my wife is a monster. She's a silent killer with budgeting and tracking. I'm the workhorse.
Okay.
She is the person that is very good at executing when it comes to that. And yeah, we use a spreadsheet. You know,
Mhm.
we keep it real simple. We just put
Yeah.
everything on a spreadsheet, and then we look at where we are, what we need, what we want to be, and how much more we want to make, and how much we just. She just breaks it into parts, and I love it. You know, and I
Yeah.
kind of use that technique in my businesses too, with
Mhm.
production and in terms of activity, like
Yeah.
focusing on the basics, and
Mhm.
you focus on those one things and it starts to multiply, and you just keep
Yeah.
doing the basic things over and over and over. But yeah, tools, yeah, it's just an Excel spreadsheet, nothing
Mhm.
fancy, no
Yeah.
fancy stuff,
Basic.
basic.
Basic, y'all. Okay.
Basic.
It's basic. And that's the thing. Honestly, okay, right here, I got a notebook. This is what I tell people. If you can't, you don't have to be fancy. Like, you don't have to use all these apps that are available to us. If it's easier for you to budget by just continuing to write stuff down or to achieve goals, because we're talking about all of it, how you created money. So not only how you budget it and save it, but also how you get it. Just writing this stuff down on a notebook. Not everybody knows how to use Google spreadsheets. Not everybody knows how to use Excel, but hopefully most of us graduated to the point that we can write on paper, right?
Right, right. Exactly.
Right. So that's I just want to highlight the basics for just a second, because honestly, Mackenzie, it's the basics that help me to be able to continue to grow even when I have a setback. It's going back to the basics and saying, you know what, I messed up. Let me start over because I didn't do that right. And being humble enough to do it all the
Right.
time. And I think that
Yes.
that's what we need to do. We all need to do that. We need to be humble enough to say, hey, and this is in teams, this is definitely in collaboration, this is in our finances, in our relationships. You know
Yeah.
what, I messed that up. let
Yeah.
me let me start over. And so do you have anything else you want to add around the basics, the power of the basics, and money tips?
No, I think you know, you keep it simple.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in keeping it simple because
Hmm.
people could duplicate that, and it's a good example for your kids
Yeah.
when it's simple. A, a 5-year old or 8-year old could understand how to track their money and all this stuff. If you can make it simple where kids could understand it, I think
Yeah.
you have the best thing going on. And that's how we do it. We just put
Hmm.
everything down. We put where
Hmm.
we want to be, and every year
Yeah.
we strive for a different goal,
Yep.
and we break it into 90-day increments. And
Yep.
that's how I literally approach my teams the exact same way. We break it into 90-day increments, and our
Hmm.
goal is to keep hitting new goals, and before you know it, in 24, 36 months, you look back, you would have smashed all those sub goals, and you would be in a whole
Yeah.
different stratosphere
Yeah.
financially. Same
I
thing.
love that.
Yeah.
Sub goals,
Yeah.
goals, and then
Short
the sub
term.
goals.
Yeah, it's
Short.
like
Yep.
we call it
Mhm.
short term,
Yep.
interim, long term.
Yep.
That's how we look at it. So a 90-day is a short term, or
Mhm.
30 days, 60 days, 90 days short term. Then 6 months is like interim, and then
Yeah.
big goal is annual goals, like
Yep.
long term. For us.
Yeah, because I think we do, we look into the left and to the right sometimes, and it does defeat us.
Yeah.
One of it's this inspired by the Lord. About 10 years ago, I got this like download. Where you are defeating yourself on your journey to success because you're looking to the left and into the right. You're comparing yourself to other people, and
Yeah.
that's not your journey, right? And so when you're talking about bite size implements in order to achieve goals, it's because it's so big sometimes that you're like, oh, I see this person over here has it. And, it seems so unattainable when you need to be just focusing. We need to be just focusing on what's attainable in those segments, the
Yeah.
basics, in order to achieve the main big goal. And I always say this, you guys probably get tired of me saying this who watch the show, but how do you eat an elephant? If you're
One
gonna
bite at
eat
a
an elephant, one bite at a time, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
well,
It's so many things that's flashing in my mind just now. I forgot my trail of thought, but
oh, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
no, no, it's just when you think about like Man, I just had it in my head, but no worries. I think it'll come back right when you start talking. Right, it's
Oh,
gonna
we were
come.
talking about goals, and I was just saying like imposter syndrome and how we're looking to the left and to the right,
Right,
and instead and comparing ourselves. But maybe it'll come back.
it'll come back.
I
Yeah,
want
don't
to give you an opportunity to share about your business just a little bit more, especially the new business, the new venture, anything of value that you want to add to this conversation before we wrap it up. I definitely have to give you the mic in order
worry.
to in order to do my due diligence as the host of this amazing guest. So to you.
Well, I mean, as far as the venture that I'm on, obviously we're partnered with this particular venture,
Mhm.
and it's really about health, right? So we're big believers in that your health is your greatest wealth, and
Yeah.
it's super important for us to keep that at the forefront because sometimes we take our health for granted. We just think we'll be here forever, but life is a gift, and it's short, and you want to make the most of it. And we have products right now that we're marketing that is really going to change the world in terms of the education around having a healthy gut,
Mhm.
and making sure that people are in position to fight against leaky gut syndrome, which
Mhm.
is like the root cause of so many chronic diseases that people are dealing with, right? So
Yeah.
we have products to help with that, and we're really passionate about the message of changing or having a healthy gut microbiome. And your
Mhm.
gut microbiome is simply your gut environment, and all the bacteria that's in that environment, the trillions of bacteria that's in there. You want to make sure you have good bacteria more so than bad bacteria in the gut.
Mhm.
And we've kind of not been educated much about it, even though we say things like, hey, I had a gut feeling, or hey, I had to make a gut wrenching decision, or, so we're excited about just this message of change one thing, which is your gut environment, and you change
Mhm.
everything, because
Mhm.
that is the center of your health, is your gut. Everything goes through here, and it is connected to all systems in your body. So we
Yeah.
want to make sure more people are focused on their health. And because of this gut microbiome conversation, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for many of us,
Mhm.
and this is why I would tell everybody who's listening to this to get back with Kim, so that you can actually see what we have to offer and get started right away on the products, because it's going to help you increase your health. Because what we have, I know it's first class. I know Kim believes the same way I do, and I would
Mhm.
tell everybody, get on the product, get your gut microbiome up to par. If it's good enough for Purina dogs and all this stuff, it's going to be good enough for us, because
Yeah.
some people treat their pets better than humans. So
Mhm.
we're excited about what we have, and yeah, we're just marketing this message. We're in 32 countries, and we're expanding the vision of people having a healthy gut. We all have a
Yeah.
gut, and we need to make sure it's healthy. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think, it's crazy to even have the realization that this is such a big problem, and people don't really attribute, and I've been talking about this for years, but people do not really attribute gut health or what they're eating, or acid reflux. It just seems like an everyday thing. You don't attribute that to other issues that could occur as a result of poor gut health. And so I really love it. I really love that this is what you're doing, because globally, nationally, locally, even in your own community, you're able to change lives.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I put down for a long time. And so now I was telling some of my family members, I am with a killer we know there's somebody's that's in the business right there. But I believe that's Dr. Shepard. Thank you for joining us. But I put it down for years because I felt like I was getting in people's business. Like, I'm always the person that doesn't mind asking. So, hey, do you have a savings account? So, hey, what's going on with your credit? Because you say you want to build a house. So, hey, that's been me. Like, you say you have diabetes, but are you about to eat that cake? Like, that's always been me, just getting on people's nerves, right? And
Right.
so, and so, like, yeah, my sorors would be like, "Shut up, Kim." And so, I put it down for years, but then I started seeing and just doing my own little private things that people could join. But then I started seeing people getting sick and having issues that had been working with me. We were working together rather, and they were doing better. And so I was like, you know what, I'm about to get on people's nerves again. And so for those of anybody watching, health is your greatest wealth. So begin to get on your own nerves, get on other people's nerves, your family members. Let's begin to challenge each other. Especially in the South, man. You're not in the South, but in the South, oh my gosh, some of these habits. And Thanksgiving is coming up. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. So
Yeah.
thank you. I really appreciate you sharing that. And it would have been like so irresponsible of me to have you on and not have you have an opportunity to talk about your what you're doing now and how it's helping others globally. And I really do appreciate that. We just opened in Trinidad, right?
Yeah, we just opened in Trinidad. Yep, yep. In
Yep.
fact, I have people that's heading there on Friday
Hmm.
to really get that market going. So it's exciting. We're global. So this is it's fun because again, leaky gut is something that people are dealing with all over the world. It's not just a U.S. based thing. It's a
Hmm.
global issue. So we have a big goal to get this message out there, and we're going to make sure that in the next 24, 36 months there's going to be millions of people who understand having a healthy microbiome, how serious that is, because it affects every aspect of your health. And then also the importance of fighting leaky gut syndrome, because if you
Yeah.
just type in leaky gut, you'll see it affects leaky gut cancer, leaky gut high blood
Hmm.
pressure, leaky gut diabetes. You'll see it's leaky gut is like the starting point for a lot of issues that we're dealing with. So we
Yeah.
have some products to help fight that, which everybody should take a look at for sure.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. And I want to once again thank you for being a part of the Collaboration Culture podcast.
Definitely. My pleasure.
I,
My
I
pleasure.
have loved it. Thank you, Dr. Shepard. Thank you to Jatasha. And those are the names I could see. Rhonda, all of you who joined, those of you whose names I couldn't see, we really appreciate you. Go ahead and share this with someone. Just follow Coffee and Collaborations, first of all. So
Yep.
follow Coffee and Collaborations and all that we have going on. We have a TV show called Love and Flow TV, which
Nice.
airs once a month. We also have a show coming back called A Culturist Show. He's going to start back up very soon. And then this podcast, the Collaboration Culture podcast. And we will be launching our magazine. I know y'all tired of me saying that, but we will be launching our magazine very soon, the Collaboration Culture magazine. So I have some emails to send out because people have mentioned that they would like to be a sponsor of one of the shows. So if you would like to be a sponsor, I'm going to put the information now. You can follow this information at the bottom that is scrolling across the screen. Contact us for any of our shows. Contact us as info at coffeeandcollaborations.com. And then Mr. Makesi, I know that you have a busy schedule, and so I am going to let you go. But guys, join us back here next week. First of all, I got to shout out though. I got to shout out our sponsor. I just mentioned sponsors. I got to shout out our sponsor, Industry Image. Elton Benjamin does all of our advertising and marketing, digital media and web. You can reach out to him for that, as well as multimedia production. This is our team, part of our team. Elton Benjamin is the sponsor of Coffee and Collaborations Media. And also join us next week when we will have another amazing guest. We have joining us Terrence Perry. He's actually the first person who ever had me on like a podcast. And so I'm excited to be able to shout him out and have him on. So next week we will have Terrence Perry. Let me see if I can pull. There we go. There's his flyer. So
Nice.
he's going to be joining us next week. So please come on back. We would love to have you. For those of you who are watching, join us next week. And then lastly, continue to focus on your success. The year is not over. You have so much more time than you think. And so if you really take these tips, take these tools and be intentional, then you can achieve anything that you want to achieve. And if you need my support in any capacity, please reach out to me. You have my information. And for those of you who are interested in the debt detox, which we have begun, then reach out to me for that. That's bi-weekly. We start November. So we started yesterday and we will continue to December 19th. Let's get that money right. Even if I've worked with millionaires who were broke, y'all. I have worked with millionaires who were broke, right? Who were broke because they were drowning in debt. And so let's get ourselves together so that we can do better and be better uh for the
Yes.
years ahead. All
That's
right,
right.
you all have a great rest of your Tuesday evening. We're going to enjoy some Taco Tuesday over here. And once again, thank you to Mr. Makesi Anyika.
Hey,
Good
thank
night,
you. Kim.
y'all.
Good night. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Night, y'all.